Hey, this is Donna, the Transdimensional Twin Flame and the Afterlife Artist. I'm here today with session 16 of the Melafon journals. Melafon is a being that I met in a blind remote viewing session in January. We did not know what we were viewing, but what it turned out to be was the crash and the being at the crash of the Varginha, Brazil UFO incident in 1996. If you're not familiar, I was not really familiar with this story either. I had heard about it because a new documentary just came out. There was one in 2021, I believe, called Moment of Contact, and the second installment of that with some new information was just recently released. So it's been in the news a lot if you're in these circles. So I had heard of it, but didn't know anything else about it. And the information that I got about this being who called himself Melafon, he was the being at the crash. There were two beings. They both ended up dying, but one of them was found alive and one of them was not. This being is the one that was found and taken to a medical facility. And part of the documentary is about interviewing the people that were involved, including doctors that treated this being. I correctly identified what his ship looked like when I asked him to show me. I correctly identified what kind of energy he had, and basically, a beautiful, enlightened being is who he is. And of course, even though he did transition into spirit, just like the rest of us, that doesn't mean he doesn't exist. He still exists. He just exists without the need for that physical body that he had. So during these sessions, I had 2 sessions with him, and he said that he would like to be my guide, one of my guides, and that one way we could do this was for me to get up in the morning and not do anything else other than meditate and then connect with him like we had been doing, and that he would help me with guidance. So this is the next installment, and I'm just going to read from the journal. I just finished it. I never know exactly what we're going to talk about. I just sort of wing it. I mean, this is channeling or automatic writing, so you don't think about it. If you're sitting there trying to conceive of what you're going to say, that's your mind and your ego, and that's not what we're doing here. What I'm doing is tapping into my higher self and tapping into Melafon. This is a higher dimensional activity, and I am allowing his consciousness and his information to flow through me, and I just record what I hear. I literally hear him speaking. So let's just get to it. Okay. So today's journal, and I hope I can really get this on camera, but as I've said before, I am legally blind. So it's sometimes hard for me to read this and record it at the same time because I need to hold it really close to myself so I can see it. And that means that maybe it's not on the screen for you, but it's more important to read it properly. You can just listen instead of following along with the words on the screen. I think that would be better anyway. These messages are really good. And they are useful for all of us right now. Everything I'm going to talk to him about is going to be something that most of us are interested in right now, because I think we all have a lot of the same thoughts. The way the world is going right now, it's not that hard to imagine that we're all thinking the same thing. Right now, with all the toxicity in the world, especially coming from America, but from other countries as well, we're all thinking and asking the same questions about what should we do. So here we go. I'll just show you the whole page before I start reading, because I don't think I can get the whole page in here while I'm reading it. Okay, so I draw a picture of us up here and connect us. When you write and draw things, the psychic information is passed onto the page. That is something we learn in remote viewing. So that is the practice that I learned. And this journal entry is just him. Like, I think I asked this in the blue, and then everything else is him. He just went on, and I didn't really need to ask any questions. And that's usually how it goes. And I don't even remember what he says afterwards. I have to read it again, and I've already forgotten. By the time I'm reading this to you, even though I just did it, I've totally forgotten what he said. I mean, I know the gist of it, but I'll be reading this like I'm, kind of don't remember it. And that's what channeling is sometimes like. Okay, so I'm in the blue at the top, and I said, "Hi, Melafon, I've missed you. What should we talk about today?" And he said, "I missed you too. You know you can talk to me anytime during the day, like you do with Chris. It doesn't need to be just confined to these writing sessions." And I said, "Okay, noted." Chris, by the way, being my twin flame in spirit. That's why I call myself the Transdimensional Twin Flame. There's lots of videos about our interdimensional journey on this channel. Twin flames share a soul blueprint, so it means we share the same soul. So when he transitioned across the veil, I was just connected to him. And I am constantly connected to that higher dimensional energy, and I'm channeling it 24/7. It's like somebody's plugged me into an electrical source. I am vibrating all over 24/7, and it either is really strong or super strong. So it's sometimes exhausting, sometimes exhilarating, but I am constantly connected to higher dimensions in a way that I've never met anybody else who is. I mean, I'm not trying to be egoic or anything, but I've not met anybody who knows what exactly I'm talking about, because it's so rare to be a twin flame, and it's even more rare to have one transition across the veil and then stay connected, even though if you know about quantum entanglement, it does make sense. So yes, it makes sense energetically, but it's rare. So that's what he was referring to when he says that I can talk to him like I talk to Chris, because my Chris is always with me. I can always hear him telepathically. I can feel him energetically. I can sometimes feel him physically. I can see him in different ways energetically, because I can see energy. So he's telling me that I don't have to just sit here in the morning and talk to him, that he can be my guide anytime, just like my Chris is, because Chris is one of my guides. So I said, okay, noted. Then Melafon continues. He says, "Today, what's on your mind is the uneasy state of the world. All around you is doom and gloom. Everyone is afraid. You can't blame them. There are many issues occurring on Earth right now that would naturally cause..." I'm going to show you the whole page again, just so you can see before I start reading more. There are many things on the Earth right now that would naturally cause concern for pretty much everyone, or anyone. But my advice is to unplug from it, like I've said before. Keep a pure and high vibration by disengaging from negative and fear-based narratives. Keep that in mind, okay? This is the main point. Disengage from negative and fear-based narratives. Can you identify some negative and fear-based narratives in your life? I'm going to assume you can. We are all connected to social media. If you are listening to this, you are. So you've been exposed to manipulation and fear-based narratives pretty much all day, every day that you've been on these platforms. That's why we try to use these platforms for good, to spread the light and to spread real knowledge and empowerment, because that is the way that we are combating this negative and dark energy. I am a light worker, and that's what I do. So he says to unplug from it, like he said before, which he has said in another channeling that I've posted. He said to disengage from the negative and the fear-based narratives. Well, you're going to have to identify what a narrative is. If you think everything you hear is the truth, then you have a lot to learn, because a lot of these things are just lies. And lots of things that you hear in society from even your trusted officials. You really can't trust the news. You can't trust the medical industry. Of course, you can't trust the banking industry or the housing industry, or, your landlords. You can't trust these people because they have a goal in mind that doesn't include your best interest. You got to ask yourself who you're hearing this information from. Do they have your best interest at heart or not? Just do a little thinking. Do critical thinking and ask yourself if the person who's giving you this information that's scaring you is telling the truth. And if you can't know for sure, then assume that they're not, in some way at least partially. And ask if they have your best interest at heart. If they don't, you've got to question their narrative, and you've got to question their motives. And then you can decide to reject them and their motives and their story. So he said about the people and the narratives, he goes, They are purposefully scary. The goal of those in charge is to keep the public weak. They do this by making them fearful, hopeless, victimized, poor, slaves, and misunderstood. They keep people angry at each other to distract from their evil deeds. Make no mistake, your government and most of here's the page. Your government and most of those in real power throughout the world are working for an evil and oppressive agenda. Now, that's not everybody, don't get paranoid, but be informed, okay? But knowing that doesn't need to make you fearful if you know that you are co-creating your reality. You choose it, even if your conscious mind disagrees, which everybody's conscious mind disagrees with this statement. Everybody gets their hackles up. Everybody's offended when you say this. The only people who really get it are the ones who were mature enough to look at themselves and understand that they have made these choices, or the ones that understood how this reality works and that we are projecting it. It's like, everything we see is something we've projected, but nobody told us that, right? So we don't have this narrative about ourselves. We don't have this history about ourselves, and it's now coming out that this is how it is. So once you don't have to fully believe it. All you have to do is take this concept and try it out. If you follow the advice that he's going to say here, and then it works, you're going to know it's right. I don't take people's words for things. I dissect them and I try them out. Personally, I use myself as a guinea pig and I try out these theories. And the way I've learned that this is how reality works is by taking the advice of the advanced spiritual teachers that I've had and trying it on myself to see if it works. I don't reject things out of hand. I try really hard to be open-minded and not reject these concepts because they sound weird. I don't reject them just because they aren't what I used to think. I'm open-minded because I want the truth. And if you have the truth, you're empowered. You know what you're working with. That is why all of the darkness that has been perpetrated upon us is coming out right now. That's what awakening is about. If you thought spiritual awakening was all fun and unicorns, you were mistaken. Spiritual awakening is about having a sudden uncomfortable realization that you see a level of reality that you didn't see before. It doesn't mean it's a spiritual awakening even. It could just be awakening to the way things are down here on Earth. Spiritual awakening means you've woken up to the higher consciousness and connected to Source. But there can be lots of other kinds of awakenings where you awaken to the fact that this person didn't have your best interest at heart, these people, this organization, this country, these systems. What's their real agenda and who are they? That kind of awakening is happening for a lot of people right now. It doesn't mean it's spiritual. It just means it's a level of awareness that they didn't have before. They were asleep and now they're awake. So I would suggest, if you don't like these concepts, ignore that. That's your ego talking, and just try it. There's simple activities that you can do to sort of change your mindset and just try it out. Once it starts working for you and you start seeing the results of how you actually do project your reality and you can manipulate it, you're just going to go for it. That's all there is to it. It works. So, then he says, if you know you co-create your reality, you choose it even if your conscious mind disagrees. And don't forget, we're not conscious of any of this. So don't say that you would never have manifested this reality because you hate it, because your conscious mind, of course, would not do that. It's your subconscious mind. It's your unconscious mind. And you're not aware of that, so don't even argue about it. So he says, you choose it, even if your conscious mind disagrees. Your unconscious mind chooses this as well as your soul during your soul contract phase of life pre-planning. You know how my belief is that we pre-plan our lives to an extent with soul contracts, with bullet points of things that we want to learn and do. and that we plan some of these circumstances at that time just to challenge ourselves and give ourselves some contrast, to give yourself something to work on, something to push against. If you're going to work out, you need a weight. You need something to push against. And that's how you grow. Your muscles grow when you push and you get stronger. So does your brain. So does everything else in life. It works better when you have something to work against. If everything was just easy and flowing all the time, you wouldn't be learning the same things that you're learning here. You came here to learn some serious things. So that's the point of it. You really came here to Earth to learn. Once you know that Earth is a school, then you don't see things as good and bad. It's just learning. And in the higher dimensions, it's just learning. They don't judge things the same way we do here. Now, that doesn't mean there's not light and dark, and that doesn't mean there's not good and evil. There is. What's happening right now is evil is trying to take over, and those of us who are working for the light are trying to give you the information that you can use, that everyone can use, to combat the darkness. You have to become more light. If you embody the concepts of the darkness, such as anger and fear, you're just joining the darkness. If they're keeping you angry and afraid and disempowered and enslaved, then you're part of the darkness. They've succeeded in controlling you. So you have to break out of the fear and the hatred and the anger and the victimization. You got to do that, and you can do it. I've been there more than most. I've had a difficult life with disabilities and abandonment and abuse issues, and I'm a twin flame, and twin flames go through hell on earth to, their whole lives, basically, because it's a crucible so that we can be purified later when we do our twin flame work. That's how it is. I know what a difficult life looks like. And I've been able to do all this because I understand these concepts. So I'm passing this on as somebody who's done it already and continues to do it, and it continues to work for me. So, let's see what else he says here. Let's see. My handwriting isn't always great. Let's see. Your unconscious mind chooses this life and these circumstances, as well as your soul during your soul contract life, the pre-life planning. Knowing that you have a choice in how you interpret and respond to these things should feel empowering, not disempowering. Those who feel disempowered, here's the page. Those who feel disempowered do not know or believe this truth, that they are always projecting their reality into their awareness. They resent the implication because they don't understand the level of power this knowledge can give them. They can't own their creation because it is not what their soul wants. Their soul wants to learn everything. It doesn't discriminate. What you call good or bad is not. It is simply is feeding the light or the darkness. In the higher realms, there is no judgment, such as good or bad. There's the page. It is all equally valid in the end. The question to ask yourselves every minute of every day is, how does my focus, belief system, and response to circumstances add to my quality of life? If you wish to remain powerless in victimhood, choose beliefs and actions that reinforce that narrative. And, vice versa. If you want to remain empowered, choose empowering narratives. If, however, you wish to be free, joyful, sovereign, and fulfilled, choose thoughts, beliefs, and actions that support yourself in that. You have free will. Next page. Thinking you don't is a self-imposed prison. Nobody did that to you. They can try. They can throw out all the bait and hope you take it. But in the end, only you decide what you believe, feel, focus on, and how you respond. Nobody needs to violently swim upstream and fight the system. You made the system. Simply unmake it. Choose to opt out wherever it's toxic. Ask yourselves all day long what energy you are agreeing to, attached to, and why. If you say you don't like the energy, you don't have to continue to connect to it. If you are aware of all we've said and you still choose to attach to what you don't prefer, ask yourself why. Something in your programming and belief system likes connecting to that energy, or else it would cease to happen. Remember, you are in charge of you. You operate from inside your own higher self and soul, inside your body and vessel. Nobody else lives in there except your bodily ecosystem, like your organs and all the cells. Nobody else lives in your body and in your soul except you. And your guides and your higher self are always there. Here's the next page. But your guides and your higher self are only available to you to the extent that you are in a purified enough energetic and physical state to perceive us. You must be a clear channel to hear and feel our subtle guidance. Ask yourselves if you really are in that state. If you're not, ask why not, and address these things. We are not here to take over or save you. We are here to guide you and help you, but only if you allow us by doing what I just mentioned. We can't do anything to interfere with your free will. If you want to remain angry, sad, disempowered, distorted, disillusioned, paranoid, and unbalanced and victimized, that's your choice. Others on your planet may try to control you, but most of it is just a tactic that you then agree to participate in. You could just as easily choose to ignore anyone who doesn't align with your best interest and your highest good. Ask yourself, why do I believe in all that is wrong instead of all that is right? I mean, think about that again. It's important, okay? Ask yourself, why do I believe in all that is wrong instead of all that is right? Where is your focus going all day long? If it's going to all that is wrong, then ask yourself why, and then you're going to have the answer as to why you're feeling not great, because that's where you chose to put your focus. You chose that. So here's the next page. Those people who cannot admit that they've always had choices, but that they've chosen things or believed things that have been unpleasant, hurtful, or hurtful, are true prisoners. But they are their own jailers. Their ego wants to protect them from that responsibility and keep them feeling small, separate, and disempowered. So when you sometimes attempt to explain these concepts to others who are struggling, they reject it and project their own negativity onto you as a way of... Last page. They project their own negativity onto you as a way of diffusing the impact of what you said. They aren't ready to own their choices or themselves. That is their choice. Let them have it. All we can do is plant seeds of truth. We can't make you grow them. And so then this is his list. He likes to make lists sometimes. I like these. So he says, choose to become love, light, freedom, strength, humility, grateful, mindful, allowing, discerning, truthful, awake, generous, open, forgiving, and responsible. And there you have it. I really can't I mean, I could talk about this all day long, but I'm not going to. He explained it really well. People who try these concepts find out that they work. And people who don't try these concepts continue to spin their wheels and stay in the same place in their lives. And you can see who does that because they're not doing really well and they never change anything. And you can try to offer these suggestions and you can even model them. It's even better to simply model these concepts for people by doing them yourself. Like it's so much better to go ahead and walk your talk and to do these things yourself than to just preach at other people. Nobody really likes to be preached at. I know that if you're a spiritual teacher or a teacher of any kind, you are imparting information, but if you're not doing the work yourself and you're not practicing what you preach, you're a hypocrite and you're not really spiritual. So the best way to show people that these concepts work is to make them work yourself and lead by example and basically let people figure it out by watching you. Go first, be the leader that you are, and simply embody these concepts. And once they see that they work for you, some people are going to say, well, it seems to be working. Other people are going to think, they're still going to deny that this works. And they're going to call you lucky or something. You know, if something's working out for you, they're going to like to attribute that to some kind of luck. But there is no luck. There's only synchronicity. And you cause these things with your actions and your thoughts. And I am living proof. This is how I live. And it works. So I would suggest rewatching this. If these concepts are confusing, rewatch this video and then start trying some small things about what, that he said about how to address your life and your thoughts and your beliefs and your habits. Your lifestyle is what creates your life. Your lifestyle, including your thoughts and your beliefs and everything that you do, everything, how you respond to every situation. That's what creates the quality of your life. It's not the circumstances around you. Those are just the building blocks for you to interact with. This is all a school. So those incidents that you have to deal with, that's just part of school. That's like a test to see if you understand what to do. And a lot of people, have these incidents happen that are really difficult, and they get through them and come out even stronger and more empowered because they learned what they could do. But other people become more disempowered because they didn't learn what they had control over. So it's all up to us to focus on what we want the world to be. If you want the world to be peaceful and full of light, it starts with you. You have to be peaceful and full of light. And that means everything you do has to embody those concepts. You're creating this world one person at a time. And the fact is, there's not so much of a collective consensus reality as you think. We are all in our bubble realities, and you create your own reality to be different than everybody else's way more than you think. I've been told this by my twin flame in spirit and others in spirit as well. And you can hear it from some of the higher, more advanced spiritual teachers as well. Some people don't think there is a consensus reality at all. Some people think that we're all in our separate little realities and that what we see is simply our school that we've created to interact with. Kind of like a virtual reality, kind of like a hologram, but it's real. I don't want anybody to think that other people aren't real. They're real. So treat everybody with respect and just embody what you want the world to be. Okay, if you watched that, it was a pretty long one, but it was really important. If everybody actually took on board these concepts, a lot of our problems that you see in the world would just disappear. And the thing is, like I said, we're all in our own little bubble realities. So when you take on this advice and you start living this way, your reality improves because you're the one making it. And it doesn't really matter what other people's realities are like. They're making their own choices. Let people make their own choices. You don't have to save everybody. You certainly should help people when you can, But you're not really here to wake everybody up and fix everybody, because that's very egoic. Nobody's job is to wake somebody else up. All you can do is help when you are needed. Anyway, I hope that makes sense, and I hope you can get something positive out of that information from Melafon. Thanks for watching.